Hi, everyone. Ted Wyman here from the Winnipeg Sun, along with hockey writer Scott Billeck for another edition of Jet Setting. And today, Scott, we're going to ask the question, where does Pierre-Luc Dubois fit into the Winnipeg Jets when he comes out of quarantine? This team is playing awfully well offensively right now, and that second line where most people expect him to go, they're on fire. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to, especially after last night's 10-point game for that line, it's hard to think that a coach would break up that line. But I honestly think that still will happen. I think that once Pierre-Luc Dubois is ready to go, and that, we're still 10 days out from that at least until he is out of quarantine and then has to, depending on what his fitness level is at that point, still has to kind of get integrated into the team. So, but my guess is, just unless this line is putting up 10 points a game like it is, suspect that eventually when PLD is ready, they will put him on that second line. And go from there. I'm interested in your take on that too, just because you've watched a pile of the games. We also know that Paul Maurice values veteran experience, and at 22, PLD is not a veteran, I suppose, in this league, but he's played long enough now and had quite that role that he really would solidify that top six. I mean, are you in the same boat as me, or where
Yeah.
do you think he slots in?
Well, first of all, I think we have to call that line 1A. And I
Sure.
was certainly thinking that Pierre-Luc Dubois would be center number 1A behind Mark Scheifele, but it's happening without him even being there.
Yeah.
But he's going to play there. I mean, he's a top, like they did not get him to be anything but a top six guy. He's a very good offensive player. He's a very good defensive center. He's well-rounded. He's big. He really adds a lot. And
Yeah.
there's no doubt he's going to be centering that line. It's more a matter of who's going to play with him and who's going to move where. I think the easiest solution right now probably is maybe just to move Andrew Kopp back down with Adam Lowry on the third line and give Paul Stastny a chance on left wing. He has certainly voiced a willingness to make that move if the
Yeah.
Jets want it. But Andrew Kopp's been dynamic. There's absolutely no question he's been outstanding on that line. Nikolai Ehlers probably has been the best player on the Jets for a while. Andrew Kopp second best. He deserves to stay there. And if Paul Maurice wants to put Pierre-Luc Dubois in the middle of those two, I would have no issue with Stastny moving down the lineup, maybe making an even more dynamic third line, potentially
Yeah.
on the wing, or having Adam Lowry move to the wing, or even having Adam Lowry move to a fourth line. They could spread the minutes out on this team and make sure that those top line players like Scheifele, Wheeler, and Kyle Connor and Ehlers and whatnot are not playing too much, not too heavy of a burden. Really get themselves set up for the playoffs. And throwing it back to you, Scott, that second line, one more thing about it. What is it that's making it work so well? I know you looked at the analytics and it's just off the charts.
Yeah, I mean, the analytics aren't going to tell you how it's working. It's going to tell you, why not even why it's working. It's going to reinforce what you're seeing, and what you're seeing, and Paul Maurice and Andrew Kopp and Nikolai Ehlers all kind of talked about it last night after the game. It's just, it's just this out of nowhere you have this line that's come out and they just clicked, right. And I think that's kind of what it is. But it does have two very defensive-minded players in Andrew Kopp and Paul Stastny, and you really have this other, kind of unicorn on the line in Nikolai Ehlers, who adds that speed element. And so, you listen to Kopp talk about it last night, and it seems like it's all just, they read off each other so well, and it's hard to kind of write what that means. It's hard to kind of even explain what that means when you're not those three players. But there just seems to be this uncanny ability between them to, see what each other is doing, know where each other is going to be based on the way that they all play, and that's something that usually gets fostered over a long period of time. These guys have done it in four full games and been able to kind of figure it out. I mean, is the line perfect? No. I mean, it's not perfect. It's not like they're not allowing any shots against, but they're putting up far more than they're allowing. They've yet to be scored on. It's one of those lines that you kind of like, you put it in the blender, and then all of a sudden, poof, you have this this line that you have no idea. Yeah, exactly. You have no idea that this trio would have been the one that would just kind of take off. And a part of it, to me, it came out of a little bit of curiosity, came out a little bit desperation in that Ottawa game. But these are the things, sometimes changes that come out of bad situations turn out to be good things, and that's what you kind of got. It's a defensive line that they can play at both ends of the ice, and they can really make that long pass that to Ehlers, who can really open up the play. Andrew Kopp talked a little bit about it after the game, on Ehlers' goal, where Ehlers takes all of the guys with him and then opens up avenues for the other two forwards, right? So yeah, it's a really interesting way. It's a very good line combination for what they have, and you wouldn't really have ever known unless they put it together like they have.
Well, it is a very interesting line to watch. It's entertaining. The Jets had 4 players in the top 10 in scoring heading into
Yeah.
Wednesday night's games. They had the second most goals of any team in the NHL heading into Wednesday night's games. Those things will have changed by the time they get back on the ice against Vancouver on Saturday, but it's certainly been a promising start for Jets fans with a lot of entertaining players to watch. So for Scott Billeck, I'm Ted Wyman. You've been watching Jet Setting. Join us again.